Hi, I'm his Lordship, the leader of the Wilderness Guardians. In this video I will be introducing people to both versions of Runescape, RS3 and RS07, and asking them which they enjoyed more. I have a lot of stuff to show you, and so little time to get through it all, so I thank you in advance for your patience and I hope that the video is enjoyable. You might be asking why I am making this video. Well, there are two reasons. Firstly, because I've noted the huge community division between RuneScape 3 and RuneScape 07, and there's very little in the way of facts. So in presenting these, I hope that I can resolve some of the conflict between the two diverse communities. More importantly, however, is the realization that I've been coming to as I've been campaigning for the revival of PKing in my past videos, and that is that while getting old players back is great, PKing won't truly return to RuneScape until we have a new generation of players. And we're not getting as many new players as we could be. So in essence, this is free research for Jagex, and I really hope Jagex sees it. It's also the first public research available on the new player experience. So I hope in releasing this that the player base is no longer in the dark about what it's like to be a new player in today's era of RuneScape. So the experiment was to introduce people to RuneScape to determine which version would be more successful in the industry, and I go into more detail as well. Since the games are not equally funded and publicised. Veterans, like most viewers here are, have no idea what a new player is thinking, since we've been playing for so many years, and we may have lost our original recollections. And the game is also remarkably different now, of course. There are several limits on this experiment, the first of which is that I only tested 6 people. I did not have the time to do more, since each person took approximately 90 minutes, and therefore 9 hours for all 6. Plus 07 isn't free, so every subject cost me £5, and I'm just a humble student, but I hope that my £30 donation has gone to a good cause. It's therefore not a large enough pool to have watertight statistics, but I believe these 6 are very indicative of a larger community, as you'll see soon. The biggest shortcoming, of course, is point 3, which is everyone was between the age of 18 and 23, and most people I've spoken to in-game started their RuneScape careers between the ages of 10 and 15. So I'm not looking at the optimum starting age. I did choose from amongst my real-life friends, which, rightly so, does not include young teenagers, and I would be worried if it did. That's unfortunate because it's in your early teens when your imagination is at its most powerful, and the fantasy genre, to which RuneScape belongs, is particularly attractive. Finally, the entire pool of subjects are similar in other ways that I should mention. They're all musicians, all above average intelligence, and all students and therefore quite busy with their real lives. They are all, except for one, Europeans. I doubt these factors would affect the results that much though, but they are worth mentioning. I did pick my friends carefully though. I was careful to have significant diversity in gaming experience. Some have never played online games, and others are hardcore gamers, and others still in between. There are both male and female subjects, and all in all, there's, yes, a little bit of room for error, but largely it's adequately representative of greater society. So let's meet our subjects. So they played through 45 minutes of RS3, then 45 minutes of Old School, in that order. I didn't change it up, I didn't feel I needed to.
Oh, these graphics are weird.
What's weird about them?
It's just too basic, and it's like they're trying to be good, but they've just kind of got halfway and can be asked to do any more than.
It's a bit Disney-like. It's a bit slow, but I guess it isn't. It's supposed to be like this in the beginning to actually learn how to do it. Use the furnace. I don't even know what that means. To create a bronze bar. Oh, okay. I need to do it like that.
trying to figure out what the
Can you not
capabilities.
feel my power?
That's fine. That's a valid
Can
thought.
you not feel my power?
Well, it says or press 2, but I don't know where else I would click to do it.
It is useless to resist. It is useless to resist.
God, that noise. Jesus.
The way you move in this game is really annoying, and the camera movement.
Specifically?
So you can't move with like WSA.
No. Open active task. No, that's wrong. Open skills. Open. No, that's.
I'm trying to look for the quest log, and I can't find it anywhere.
What do you think of the graphics?
They're okay. They're a bit sort of static.
Okay.
But overall they're good.
I'm afraid that's time. If I could just get you to log out. Yeah, just go ahead and log out. Think out loud for me.
File.
No, don't close the browser. Close it from the game.
Hang on.
You got it?
Nope.
Just log out.
Okay. I'm logging out. Yes! Log out!
You got it?
I got it.
Okay. Okay.
Alright, so first impressions, right, it looks pretty cartoonish, like, I don't know, it makes me think of almost a kid's game more than anything else. Like, I don't know, it seems it's brightly coloured.
To come engage.
It's a pretty good score, the music's really decent.
Yes, Ben.
Your first impression of the combat?
It doesn't seem very responsive, like, I mean, I can imagine when you've played through it a bit longer, it's probably going to be a bit easier to kind of pick and choose an attack, but at the moment it's just clicking one button repeatedly.
So you mentioned before you like how RS3 has more in-depth character selection.
Yeah, it looks a lot better.
Unbelievable that you could remember that. How many years has it been?
Last time I played, it was like year 8, so I was 12, 13. Whoa. No, this is more like, it's shit, but it's more homey and I get my little net out. What's this?
Sorry, what did you just say?
I said this is cooler. That's
And
my
what made
first
you think
impression.
that? You've only got the login page.
I know it's fire and it's dark and yeah.
Okay.
Kind of.
Do you find the music a little bit annoying?
Yes, actually I do.
Okay. Well, you'll get.
It's too.
Okay. All right. So, a tutorial without audio and with slightly less guidance. What are you thinking? Manageable, or do you prefer the other tutorial so far?
I find this a little clearer, actually.
Okay.
I mean, this is all just much simpler.
Do you prefer that, or do you think the complexity made it more interesting?
I personally prefer the simpler one.
Just very simple. Just not very gripping at all. I'll switch the music off because it's getting annoying now.
I see you're laughing at the game. What's up?
I'm enjoying the music. I'm enjoying it. This is good laughter. This is.
Cynical laughter.
No, it's not. No, I'm genuinely happy right now.
So obviously you've got a lot more reading to do in this tutorial.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I need it.
Okay.
Now I know what I'm doing.
I remember watching a friend play this version of this game a long time ago.
What's your impression?
I quite like the retro feel, actually. I've always liked kind of that sort of stuff. It reminds me of Age of Empires, it really does.
At the end I asked them a few questions about each version, and here's how they answered.
the music was very nice.
I mean, the music's nice, it's not overly annoying.
The music was cool.
Music got better.
Actually, the music seemed really well paced. It did fit the action quite nicely.
Nice try, but it's a bit lame, to be honest, I think.
It felt, at least in the beginning, like it is a kind of a children's game.
Yeah, I'd say the graphics are decent.
It just seemed a bit too, like, cartoony.
It kind of... a bit...
It did look very cartoonish, almost like quite... I'd hesitate to use the word juvenile, but a little bit.
It was too messy, and I think on top of all of the graphics and things, it was too much. I couldn't really see what I was doing.
I thought that was fine.
I like the interface. Seemed easy enough to get around.
The interface was so confusing.
I don't really know what I'm doing.
It's a cluttered interface. It's quite... I don't know, it's just not particularly inviting to a new player, I don't think.
I think they should have just kept it how it was.
I just felt like, okay, come on, get going.
I mean, at least with those first few fights, I don't know if it gets better as the game progresses. It just seemed a little tedious.
Okay.
Yeah, not fast-paced at all, which is important, I think, for an action-adventure game.
So I like that it's simple and I'm being shown how to do it whilst doing.
The combat was quite slow to start with. Only being able to use a sword for a good 20 minutes was a bit draining.
Nah, I don't really like it.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, possibly, when I get more time, but...
Do you see yourself playing on?
No.
Indifferent at the moment. I might do. I haven't ruled it out.
On that version, probably not.
You can just hear it better. It fits the game well. Like with the new game, I think it's too overdone. Although it's better quality, it's also blurred with a whole lot of this cinematic kind of sounding stuff. You don't really hear the melodies. Like here, there's some really clear, memorable melodies that I can remember after 8
And
years.
you would in sound.
Okay, music was just too much. Over the top. No. And you can't use those, like, now I can say it to you, Sibelius sounds. Like the fake trumpets and stuff. It sounds horrible. It sounds like bagpipe.
The music is simple and everything as it was.
If you want to be insulting, go ahead.
Well, I mean, like, MIDI never sounds good, but...
Okay.
I mean, it was slightly more interesting, I think.
The sounds were... Well, I mean, it's a really... You can see it's a really old game, so I'll accept the sounds and music for
Okay.
their lack of...
Yeah, I get what you're
do you
saying.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
How did you find that music and sound?
Fun.
But it was of inferior quality.
Pardon?
It was a far inferior quality.
That doesn't make it bad though.
Which one did you like more?
I like the old one.
Sorry?
I like the old one.
You mean the one that you just played?
Yeah.
07. Okay.
I like retro sounds. It was very cool. I quite like that. Obviously not as polished as the new version, but I could like both versions quite happily.
Sure.
They're bad, but it's good bad. It's like, it's not overpowering, it's just really simple.
Oh, but that's just... Nah.
I mean, in either of them, they weren't really that important to me.
Because you can tell it's an old game, you just accept it.
Bad.
But
I like bad.
Obviously it's not as polished, it's not quite as streamlined and slick as Runescape 3, but it's not bad, it's quite good.
okay.
Much easier, I think.
It was quite simple. It wasn't difficult.
I found it a lot easier to use.
It was actually easier than the other one.
Easier as in better, or easier as in you wanted more?
Just better to understand.
I prefer the interface.
I think it makes more sense.
I like the simplicity of that.
This was probably a bit better because it was faster, it didn't take as long time.
And even in here, the combat's not the most exciting thing to me personally, but it's more exciting than the other one.
It just wasn't. It didn't get my attention at all. It felt more like a chore.
Do you have a preference?
I prefer the other combat system.
I guess it could do with some fine tuning maybe, but it doesn't seem too bad because
Yeah, I can see me playing this more, actually getting more into it.
No, sorry, I'm not a gamer.
I see the possibility much greater than for the other one.
Do you see yourself playing on?
No.
Okay. Do you see yourself playing this version?
This version more than the other one.
I don't know. Actually, I quite enjoyed this. This was a lot more engaging than the other version. I quite enjoyed it. I might carry on. I might have a go, at least for the month you paid for.
So the results basically say this: that RS07 was by far the better tutorial and overall the more attractive game for newcomers. That there were pros and cons to both versions of the game, and neither was perfect. Their opinions on music are particularly interesting since they are elite musicians. Jagex, take note. They know what they're talking about. And finally, most people preferred the old combat system, even though it was simpler. Now it's time for my opinion on the results. Okay, firstly I have to acknowledge that 07 does have the better new player experience, but it says nothing on the fantastic endgame content for veterans that RS3 has. I would strongly urge Jagex to bring the 07 tutorial back to RS3 with a few modifications. For example, we do need a resizable window, and we should remove a couple of guides like, for example, the cooking tutor. He's largely useless. And we should streamline the text so that there's less waffle, etc, etc. And there are plenty of other suggestions as well. By now I consider myself an expert on the Runescape tutorial, having sat through it so many times, and in saying so I have too many suggestions to include here without boring the viewers. Jagex, if you'd like the exact details on how to improve the tutorial, please get in contact with me, I would be very glad to help. There's some other important things in my research which I haven't presented here, just for the sake of keeping it short and simple. Also, I've said this twice in the past, and this is a suggestion that I will put in the video, that you must start players on the old combat system and not the new combat system. I wouldn't call it legacy mode either. Allow the option for them to switch to evolution of combat later on in their careers if they so choose. But by far, the more appealing combat system was the old one, and you really should consider a new player's experience as much as you do a veteran's. Also, you should probably either start them on a lower graphics setting or really modify the graphics settings that you currently have for the tutorial, because it is so bright and colourful. It gives this cartoonish Disney-like quality to it, as some of them have mentioned. Please darken the tone. I realise that perhaps you're aiming for younger players and that might appeal more to them. I personally don't think so. I think even for a young teenager it's still a little bit too cartoonish. Finally, the new tutorial has way too many pop-ups when discussing the interface. It barrages you like spam. You've got to sort that out because it annoyed a lot of my subjects. May I also say that I don't think this definitively proves Old School is better as a game, only that it is better at attracting new players. I still believe that RuneScape 3 should be the dominant game, but it has a lot to learn from Old School. Also, I realise I'm talking to veterans about new players. Most Jagex staff are veterans, as are my viewers. So I suspect many of you won't care about new players very much. Getting back retired players is great, but getting new players at this point in time is far more important, since our time as a generation of players is coming to its end. It's sort of like people campaigning for the preservation of the environment for future generations. We are now the grandparents of this game, and it's time we start thinking about who comes after us. For the PKers, or ex-PKers, watching this, you should care because PKing is only successful with large numbers. It's so community-based that it just can't work in that small niche, as we sadly found out these recent years. Now, the food chain of PKing isn't just about resources and skillers, as the old school revitalization would suggest. It's also about levels. Think about it. A level 50 isn't going to go into the wilderness if there are only level 120s out there. And that's why Pures was so helpful back in the day, to everyone, not just themselves. They included main clans as well. They stopped the wilderness from being dominated by maxed accounts. So those are my thoughts. I would finally say, if you enjoyed this video, please share it. I did put a lot of work into it, and as a movie, I feel that it has the power to restore some of the community aspect of the game. And hopefully, if it's passed around enough, Jagex might take note. So if you're a member of any community website or forums, if you're in a clan or you have a Facebook group, please post it in there. I would love for as many people to see this as possible, and I feel that it has something new and meaningful to contribute to the community. I've worked really hard on it, as you can probably tell, and if you know any big name video makers, please pass it their way too. It would be such a shame if this video did pass into obscurity. So I thank you in advance if you do share it, and I look forward to seeing you again in a couple of weeks with a brand new video. All the best, guys. Let's have a look at some comments.
Danjo, I'm going to bring some attention to this. 100% agree. I think they did emails to combat botting, but I guess that's irrelevant now. RS Fistman, after thinking it through properly, I withdraw my idea to do any sort of rollback or transfer except for Pures and level 3 skillers. The nutsack for you, I'd like to see more advertising from Jagex too, on different platforms other than what they've already been doing, but I'm no marketing expert and I have no idea how much money they are allocating, so I guess we can only hope. Mass Freezer, there might or might not be a way around this. I still think we should put it in the Legacy beta to see how it goes, just so we know for sure. Akidification, at this stage I'd like to wait until the RS Rejuvenation is released so I can give you some in-game footage, rather than just guess what will happen. You'll get the video explaining it once I've tried it out myself.